Welcome back to Morning Joe. It's Friday, February 6th. Willie, I'm not good at math. So what does 1,000% mean? So let's say the prescription medication costs $100.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. Make it easy.
This is our
Round
question. So I'm going in and I'm getting my medication. It's $100 and it's 1,000% off. How much? How much will that medication cost me if it's 1,000% off?
Well, when you get to 100% off, it's free. Okay, so now it's free at 100, and we got 900 more percents. So I don't know. Am I giving you 900 bucks? That's going to get real expensive for the federal government, I would think.
That's a great
Lemire,
deal.
were you good in math? Because I didn't take a math class after 10th grade. You didn't have to. We didn't have core curriculum at Alabama at the time. Now they're really smart there, which really scares me when I go back to the campus. Are you good at math, Lemire? What's 1,000% off of $100?
No, my kids are already better at math now than I ever have been, and I am currently. So math has never been a strong suit. But yeah, I think Willie's right here, where they're just going to you're going to go to get your medication. They're going to hand you the bottle of pills and a nice check, and maybe Donald Trump could put his name on that too.
All right, let's bring in some math scholars we have with us.
What's 1,000% of $100?
We have MS Now, political analyst. Mika goes on to Perplexity or another AI machine. Former U.S. Senator Claire McCaskill.
Guys, it's $1,000.
Whoa!
It's $1,000.
So the federal government is going to pay me $1,000 when my prescription costs $100. What could go wrong with a country that's $39 trillion in debt? We've also got the writer, contributing writer of The Atlantic, Gene Robbins. He's out with an awesome book.
Perplexity.
It's called Freedom Lost, Freedom Won, A Personal History of America. And Gene, we're gonna get to James Comer not listening to his legal counsel, Arnold the Pig, in a second about catching the car. He's caught the car. Now Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are saying, come on. And there he is. There's legal counsel for James Comer, who said all along, don't do it, dude. I tried to help Mr. Haney in Green Acres, and he'd never listened to me, and shit always ended badly.
Come on.
But please listen to me. But they won't do it. But before we get to that, let's talk about your book again for those that haven't heard about it. It is extraordinary. You have so many. You've lived such an extraordinary life, Gene, and you've seen so much that really, I think instructs us on what we're going through right now and what to worry about, and also how to get through it.
Yeah, well, what I found, it's really less about me. I do kind of come onto the scene pretty late in the book, but it's about my ancestors. It starts with my great-great-grandfather who was enslaved. He was, as a boy, he was sold to a plantation owner in Charleston in 1829. He was sold again in 1848. He had become a blacksmith, a very good one, and in 1851, 10 years before the Civil War, in Charleston, he managed to buy his own freedom. And he had a son who was a Reconstruction-era success story, just the right age to take advantage of that brief period when the Union troops were still occupying the South and enforcing the voting rights of African Americans. And so my great-grandfather became a lawyer and he became a big Republican Party activist and poobah, and had a federal job and built the house that I grew up in and kept all his records. And it took me a while. I can be slow, but over time I realized I had a really unusual archive of documents and family lore that told a story of perseverance, a story of really chasing against all odds the American dream of freedom and opportunity, and winning it and having it taken away and winning it again. over 2 centuries. It's 200 years of American history through the lens of my family, and it was a joy to write, and I hope people enjoy it.
You know, Gene, it's also very instructive too. We look, and of course, the reversals are not obviously as dramatic as your ancestors faced, but you look at what happened with your family, with you know, a member of your family buying his freedom before, you know, 12 years, I think, before the Emancipation Proclamation, and then his son being able to thrive during that period after the Civil War, that brief period during Reconstruction. And it shows that America can move in the right direction. And then suddenly, as we saw in the 1870s, 1880s, all those gains ripped away, and the fight began over again. It's just the perseverance that's required to continue that fight. It's a generational battle for American freedoms, for personal freedoms, especially for Black Americans, brown Americans, those who aren't white in America, who don't have to worry about what we're seeing right now. Although I will say it does seem to be that it is white Americans right now being executed in the streets of America for speaking out against treatment of other Americans.
Yes, there are these advances, and then there is, you know, to call it pushback is to understate. I mean, after, of course, Reconstruction. Those brief years of real Reconstruction, there was Jim Crow, and the trigger, and I don't want to go all Meacham, but it was the Hayes-Tilden Compromise of 1877 that withdrew the Union troops from the South, and that was the beginning of the end. And what I saw was that in all the papers that my great-grandfather left behind, his financial documents and everything, you could see that. You could see him going from being a buyer and a lender to being a seller and a borrower, as his options were shrunk, as his world and his horizons were foreshortened.
Well, Gene, you know, it's an extraordinary book. It's so moving. And I must say, you had us all from the very beginning until you started channeling John Meacham. And then I started playing Risk on my phone.
No.
Thank you so much. Up to that point, of course, the Tilden Compromise. And I'm surprised Meacham hasn't brought that
Let's
up.
get to some of our other top stories this morning. The second hour of morning, Joe. It's only the second hour, Joe.
Oh, that's
You've
good.
already used a curse word.
That means we have 8 more hours to go. I love it.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton continues to advocate for a public hearing after she and former President Bill Clinton agreed to testify before the House Oversight Committee as part of its investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. This comes amid a back-and-forth fight between the Clintons and Oversight Chairman James Comer, who published emails yesterday between his committee and the Clintons' legal team laying out the terms for the depositions. Clinton called out Comer on social media yesterday, writing, quote, "Let's stop the games. Want to have this fight? Let's have it in public. You love to talk about transparency. There is nothing more transparent than a public hearing, cameras on. We will be there." While Republicans are eager to put the Clintons under pressure, President Trump seems far less than enthusiastic about the idea. In fact, he's defending the former First Lady as Democrats threaten to turn the tables on the White House if they win the midterms in November.
You have an ex-president, and you have, the president's wife and Secretary of State. And I said, it's a shame. It is a shame.
NBC News broke the story today. I don't know if you saw it, that the Democrats are already saying, if you bring President Bill Clinton and he has to testify, we're bringing President Trump. What do you say to that?
I think they might say that, but they've already brought me. See, I've been brought. They had me indicted many, many times. It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me.
Yeah, and he also said some positive things about Hillary Clinton. She's going to testify February 26th if this still moves forward, and the former president's deposition's the next day. I mean, Claire, it's just, first of all, James Comer does not want to confront Hillary Clinton in public. She will humiliate him. She just will. Also, Donald Trump has no idea what the Clintons are going to reveal about Donald Trump's own relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. No idea. He has no idea. Republicans have no idea about what they know and what they're going to put out there. I've got to say, James Comer was the guy that kept going after the Biden crime family, and Republicans were the ones that had to say, stop, please stop. You had me at stupid. And yet he just keeps going, and he keeps hurting the Republican Party. And now, yes, he's setting a precedent for Democrats to call Donald Trump.
Yeah, isn't he running for something? Isn't he running for governor or something? I don't know. I've lost track of what's going on in Kentucky. But
I pity the state.
I don't understand how this helps the Republican Party. First of all, we all know how good Hillary Clinton will be. We remember her hours and hours of testimony over all the silliness around the tragic deaths at the embassy that occurred, but how well she held up under really intense scrutiny over a long period of time. Secondly, the bottom line is they're just keeping the Epstein files in the headlines. They are keeping the Epstein files front and center. And what you said earlier, Joe, is really important. Why are the white, powerful men's names redacted, and they're dragging in Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton had nothing to do with any of it? So all it does is show what lengths they're going to go to try to protect the rich and powerful that Donald Trump doesn't want named.
And Jonathan Lemire, Claire makes the point, first of all, what does Hillary Clinton have to do with all this? Bill Clinton, yes, does show up in the Epstein files. She's not in the Epstein files. Why is she being dragged before Congress, if not to humiliate her in some way? I think that's going to backfire on him, Comer, spectacularly. But also, you just don't see Donald Trump in that posture like we saw him there in the Oval Office with Tom Yamas, where he says, no, I actually like Bill Clinton. And, of course, naturally, he says, what do you like about him? Well, I like that he likes me. But the fact that he's being complimentary of someone who he sees as opposed to him tells you everything about how he feels and why on earth Republicans want to go back and, as Joe would say, put their hand on that hot stove again and rip off the scab of the Epstein files and let Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton talk about the Epstein files and let Democrats in the hearing talk about the Epstein files and how many times the president's name appears in the Epstein files. It baffles not just us, but I think it sounds like it baffles and frightens President Trump himself.
Yeah, this feels like such a miscalculation. One right from the beginning, where the Epstein conspiracy theories were largely born on the right, sort of in MAGA world, and it was perceived as a Democratic problem. Like, oh, if we see these files, it's going to bring down all these powerful Democratic figures. And certainly there are some who are in the files. But what's been the flaw in that plan all along is just the close association that Donald Trump had with Jeffrey Epstein for a long time. And even if there's nothing criminal there, it is an embarrassing friendship for Trump, which is why he was never at the forefront of the push to release the files. He supported it, but it wasn't like a central campaign promise. But now that we are seeing them, Trump is furiously backpedaled and tried to run away from them as best as he can. And I'll just say this, Hillary Clinton, we have seen her, Joe and Mika, get the best of Republicans in congressional hearings a number of times. We all remember Benghazi, so that was that could potentially be a real mistake. And I think you are seeing Trump worried about the door that's opened here. We'll see. But the Republicans think they're trying to help. They may be actually hurting him. We'll see if they pull these things down, which is the other possibility. Yeah.
Well, they are definitely going to hurt the president. They're going to hurt President Trump. They're going to hurt the First Lady. They're going to hurt the Commerce Secretary, who's in the files. They're going to hurt the next likely Fed chair, who's in the files. Mm-hmm. going to hurt everybody associated with Donald Trump who's in the files, because having Bill and Hillary Clinton testify on Capitol Hill is going to have tens or maybe 10 million people. I don't know how many million people will be watching this live, but we know there will be hundreds of millions of streams on social media. And the way these hearings work is, first of all, you'll have Hillary Clinton making a fool of James Comer and the other Republicans, Bill Clinton doing the same. Bill Clinton is a political pro, the likes of which, few Republicans have ever seen. And so you have that when the Republicans are asking questions. But then think about this. With millions and millions of people watching this hearing, then the Democrats get their time to bring up all the times Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, all the times the First Lady's in the Epstein files, all the time the Commerce Secretary is in the Epstein files, all the time Elon Musk. I mean, if I'm Donald Trump, I'm calling to Comer, and I'm like, delay this and then kill it.
Yeah.
Because this will put more attention on the Epstein files than anything yet. It is the worst thing for the White House. And James Comer is the one who set all of this up. He has set them up to fail spectacularly.
Well, he's trying to get transparency, and I applaud that. I mean, whether it's Bill or Hillary Clinton or Donald or Melania Trump and everybody in these files, we've got to get to some justice for these victims. These files, even what was released, which was heavily redacted, of course, protecting more men than victims, they reveal a massive ecosystem built around predatory pedophilia and rape.
By the rich and powerful.
And that's just not to be ignored.
By the rich and powerful.
No, it's not time to move on. It's time to finally start talking about this.
Well, it's time to stop
getting some accountability.
It's time to stop protecting these rich and powerful pedophiles.
Some sickos are in there.
Whose names are blacked out by Pam Bondi's Justice Department. We don't need your binders.
No.
That you're giving out that has nothing in it. What we need the names unredacted. You're protecting rich and powerful pedophiles. We need the names unredacted. There are so many names, Claire McCaskill, that are in there that are obscene and possibly criminal emails that suggest criminal behavior by the people sending the emails. And the Justice Department is redacting the names of the people who sent these emails that possibly reveal criminal behavior.
Rape, pedophilia.
Rape
Island.
The Justice Department is actually protecting these pedophiles by redacting their names.
Well, I hope they get the public hearing, and I hope at the public hearing some of the Democrats blow up some of those emails and put them behind them in the public hearing. And in that hearing, use it as an opportunity to ask James Comer, why don't we have Pam Bondi here explaining why there is a black mark over this person's name, and make that the focus of the hearing from the Democrats' perspective, because that's what Americans are upset about. They're upset about the victims being exposed in this release, but they're also upset about the fact that the release is still hiding the very people that this entire controversy is about. It is hiding those who most need to be exposed. And the Democrats have an opportunity here. Now, I don't think Comer's ever going to give her a public hearing. But even in the deposition, they can go through this, and eventually the deposition will become public. So if they go through with it, if they're smart, they won't. I wish they would. I wish they'd do the public hearing. And I wish the Democrats would start using some of that material in the files to remind Americans how obscenely these people are being hidden. The things they said in these emails are enough to make anyone understand what was really going on here. It was white, rich, and powerful men who thought it was okay to traffic in children, period.
Nearly 1 week after the mother of Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie was believed to have been taken from her Arizona home against her will, there are still more questions than answers when it comes to where she is, who may have abducted her, and why. Officials reiterated yesterday there is still no suspect in the case, but they are not giving up hope, with the Pima County Sheriff saying, "We believe Nancy is still out there." The FBI now is offering up to $50,000 for information leading to the 84-year-old's recovery or the arrest of anyone involved. As members of the Guthrie family wait for updates on their beloved mother and grandmother, they are renewing public pleas to any possible captor for her safe return. Here's what Savannah's brother Cameron posted yesterday.
This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
Savannah's brother Cameron Guthrie there. Let's bring in retired FBI Special Agent Rob D'Amico. He was a member of the FBI's hostage rescue team and MS Now National Security and Intelligence Analyst. Now, Rob, great to have you back with us this morning. So we heard from Cameron Guthrie there after the message the day before from Savannah, her sister Annie as well. Putting these two messages together from the family with whatever you may have gleaned at the press conference yesterday, led by the Pima County Sheriff, but joined by the special agent in charge with the FBI there. What more do you feel like you've learned in the last 24 hours?
Well, they're desperately trying to get a hold of the kidnappers. And it's one of those things that the ransom notes came in. Obviously, I don't think they're valid, or they didn't provide a line of communication to start negotiating this. And that's not good on the ability to move this forward. And as Chris said this morning, some of these groups that are professionals in it, I think, is the best bet for the family. They're used to highly complex kidnappings. They're used to getting medications for their victims. They're used to keeping them safe because they are a currency. Unfortunately, if something happened where it was a non-trained group that kind of stumbled into this, had a, quote, good idea, and then I don't think anyone's expected the media attention that this has gotten. And it's really tremendous. It's gone viral because everyone sees this as this could be my mom. This is only second worst to your child getting kidnapped. Your elderly mother getting kidnapped is a horror to the family, and it's harder on the family than actually the victim is. So I see this as something that could have blown up to a group that wasn't. They're trained enough to do it, so the cameras were down, but they may not have been expecting this attention. And then there's the panic that comes in, and those are the dangerous parts of this.
Rob, in your experience, let's entertain the possibility that this was a professional operation and that Nancy is being held somewhere. Is it not unusual now, as we get past the 5-day mark here, to not have heard anything at all? Would there typically be some kind of a signal sent up from the group?
I would say yes, but so many of these are so different. I'm used to overseas kidnapping where you don't hear things for a while until they get into a safe place. In Afghanistan, until they got them to Pakistan, you would never hear anything because it was dangerous being in Afghanistan with American troops. So it could be that they're trying to move her to even a safer location than they have her now before they kind of pop their head up and start communicating, because now they're understanding all the resources at bear. Now that the FBI is in, again, that brings tremendous resources, as they said in the press conference last night. And I think the biggest one is they called it the CAS team, the cellular analytical survey teams that come in that look at those towers and what's going off on the towers and what phones are trying to touch it. Even if your phone's off, it could actually be communicating with the tower. They're looking at all that data. They're looking at, was the home router trying to connect to a phone? Because if you bring your phone into a house that you're not connected to the Wi-Fi, it's still going to try to connect. It may get a MAC address from that. Or one telling thing is if a person's been there before and connected to Wi-Fi, they automatically connect. So they're taking that router, they're bringing the analytics in, they're looking at the cell towers. So that's the tremendous resources that the FBI are bringing in right now.
Rob, we want to continue to be very careful not to speculate about this, especially because it involves someone we care about so deeply. But is it possible, as some people have suggested, that there is communication going on behind the scenes and that the FBI, the sheriff's office, the family is just being very careful about how they communicate publicly?
It could be. We've done that a number of times because you want the communications to be, on the down low. You want them to be behind the scenes. You don't want to get into a public negotiation with them. You want it very private. But some of the messaging, please reach out to us. It may be something like that. I've seen tremendous amounts of different tactics in this. And as Chris said, the crisis negotiation unit, who does this worldwide and does it every week, they do hundreds of these over and over again, could have some type of tactics like that where they're actually communicating and they're trying to make it so that it doesn't appear that way. I've seen it with the Haqqanis over in Afghanistan. I've had lunch with them on a Afghan prison floor when we were saying that no negotiations were going on. We've seen it with pirates in Somalia, the same type of things. So those tactics could be coming in to really keep the negotiations more private than if they said that, hey, we have a negotiation group. You then get a lot of questions that what's going on with it, and you don't want that coming out.
Retired FBI Special Agent, MS Now National Security and Intelligence Analyst, Rob D'Amico. Rob, we appreciate you coming on again this morning. So, Mika, still so many questions about this. And for now, those of us who love Savannah, all we can do is hope and pray and provide whatever support we can. And I know the whole country is doing the same.
Absolutely. Keep praying, as she said. Thank you for that update. So now to this. The White House has once again changed its story on why Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard was on site during the FBI's raid of a Fulton County election facility last week. President Trump said yesterday it was actually, Attorney General Pam Bondi who directed Gabbard to attend. This just one day after he said in an interview he didn't know why she was there. Take a look at both responses.
Why is Tulsi Gabbard there?
I don't know, but a lot of the cheating comes from it's international cheating. You have people, they say, from China trying to.
You put this on
let me ask you:
social.
Do you think China tries to influence our election?
We know that foreign governments try to influence a lot of things in this country.
Therefore, she's foreign government.
But you've tweeted out some theories about Italians and satellites. I mean, do you believe that stuff?
No, I didn't cheat. I sometimes will retruth. Yeah. I will retruth. But let me ask you this. If China or any of these countries are involved in our elections, that would bring her into it. We have our director of national and international intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who's doing a great job. Where's Tulsi? She took a lot of heat 2 days ago because she went in at Pam's insistence. She went in and she looked at votes that want to be checked out from Georgia. They say, why is she doing it? Right, Pam? Why is she doing it? Because Pam wanted her to do it. And you know why? Because she's smart.
As for Gabbard herself, in a letter earlier this week, she told Congress her presence there was, quote, requested by the president. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt was asked about that yesterday.
Did President Trump himself ever ask DNI Gabbard to head down to Fulton County, Georgia?
The president was asked and answered that question just yesterday. I've seen a lot of the media in this room get very caught up with the semantics of why Tulsi Gabbard is there. I will tell you why, and the president agrees with this, because election security is essential to national security.
Joining us now, MS Now senior national security reporter David Rode, as well as Skye Perryman. She's president and CEO of Democracy Forward, a nonprofit legal organization that challenges what it believes are anti-democratic actions and government wrongdoing. The organization has been voicing concern about threats to election integrity. So, Skye, you're going to voice concern here about this threat to election integrity?
Yes. I mean, this is not normal. It's not normal and it's not lawful. And what you have with this exchange between the press secretary and Donald Trump and Tulsi Gabbard, you get all the liars in the same room and you start hearing different stories. But what we've seen and what we know is that this is a vastly accelerating threat to our election systems in this country. And we need every single American to be on guard.
So, David Rode, let's talk more about what we've learned about Tulsi Gabbard's visit. There's also been reporting, later confirmed, I believe, by DNI, that some of her team also did something similar in Puerto Rico. And that there's certainly a suggestion from those in the administration that there could be other stops on Tulsi Gabbard's tour in the future.
Yeah, that's a Reuters story that talks about this work that her office allegedly did in Puerto Rico. All of this is just unprecedented. I agree with Sky. In the last several days, I was down in Washington, and Democrats across the board are preparing for what they think will be multiple ways that the administration could try to steal the midterm elections. The Senate Armed Services Committee is asking National Guard officials about how they would respond to requests. You could have a red state governor ask National Guard to go stand at polling places in blue districts. That would draw down, possibly decrease voter participation by Democrats. There's a ton of questions about Tulsi Gabbard. Could they use this same excuse where they said there is no evidence of foreign interference in Fulton County, Georgia? I double-checked with former national security officials. That's not true. So could Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel show up on the day of the midterm elections and seize voting machines, stop voting in a heavily Democratic district? That's a possible scenario. Democrats would ask judges to stop that. But most of all, Democrats are trying to get thousands of lawyers and volunteers out across the country. They usually only do that in a presidential election. But that's the scale of threat here, is they want to blanket precincts across the country to fight whatever is about to occur here. And just all this is completely unprecedented.
So a recent piece by the Wall Street Journal editorial board is entitled Trump's Call to Nationalize Voting, and it reads in part, voter fraud happens and the price of freedom is vigilance. But the idea that non-citizens are swaying national elections isn't borne out by the evidence. There is no shortage of panic in the press after Mr. Trump's FBI recently raided an election office in Fulton County, Georgia, seeking anything to lend credence to his claims about the 2020 election. Yet that mischief won't save him in November. MAGA mouthpiece Steve Bannon suggested that Mr. Trump have ICE surround the polls and call up the 82nd and 101st Airborne. Yeah, after Mr. Trump's political debacle in Minneapolis, independent voters would love that. Gene, talk about the perils that Republicans are facing. I'm trying to find a better word than overreach, given this overreach.
Overreach, insanity. I mean,
breaking of boundaries, unconstitutional behavior, breaking of norms. Yeah. Yeah.
No, this is totally wrong. Number one. And it's something that yes, everybody who cares about our democracy should be vigilant about, and actively vigilant about. We do need legions of lawyers to be ready on election day just to make sure that none of this mischief takes place. But it is, in the final analysis, a great strength of our election system that instead of having a national election system, we have 51 different systems. We're the 50 states and the District of Columbia. They all run elections in their own ways, and then there are jurisdictions within the states that have different ways of doing their ballots and so forth. And so that decentralization turns out to be a strength. It's very difficult for any bad actor to get their arms around all that multitude of different systems. I mean, it's just really hard.
And it's enshrined in the Constitution. So, Sky, what are some things the organization is looking at here? The midterms will be here before we know it. Primaries sooner than later, early voting, the like. What are some areas you're really focused on?
Well, we're really concerned about what the administration is trying to do with individual Americans' voter data and with their data. We're right now litigating a case against the Social Security Administration from when DOJ officials descended on the Social Security Administration. And just in the last 3 weeks, the government has come into court and said, oops, when we told you DOJ didn't have this access, they did. And an unnamed DOJ official signed an agreement with the voter advocacy organization. So there's a lot of work to do to investigate what is going on here, to shine a light. And then, of course, what we fundamentally know is that there are going to be two things that will push back against Donald Trump's attempt to subvert this election. One is the Constitution, which is defended through the courts. So we're going to be in court every single day. And the other is the American people. And so we're calling on all people to gather up their hope, get in their community, and make sure, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on or what their views are about policies, this is something that should concern every single American and really transcends politics. And so we need everybody engaged.
Yeah. David Rode, your thoughts?
It's people turning out, and the energy is on the Democratic side, but it is concerning what Steve Bannon said. If the president invokes the Insurrection Act and sends out active duty troops, and you could say, Tulsi Gabbard could say, there's a evidence of foreign interference and try to pull this off. I don't think the courts would stand for it, but those are the stakes here. And again, all of this is just unprecedented to have this kind of interference by a sitting president. And it's amazing that he's sort of, changing. He's trying to blame Pam Bondi now for something that Tulsi Gabbard said, he told her to do.
MS Now senior national security reporter David Rode, thank you very much. President and CEO of Democracy Forward, Skye Perryman, thank you as well. And coming up on Morning Joe, the Trump administration launches its online drugstore, Trump RX. But will it actually mean cheaper prescription drugs for American consumers? Will they get paid to buy drugs? We'll ask FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary. He joins us next on Morning Joe.